Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at 34 professional wrestling professionalism rules. These were posted at the end of January to Facebook by well-known professional wrestler Brutal Bob Evans. These rules actually are really good, and reading through them, I thought, why not, with all credit, of course, to Bob Evans, why not sit and do a video talking through these? Obviously, these are really aimed at wrestlers, promoters, people who are actually involved in putting on or running pro wrestling shows. I am not that person. I am, however, a fan who has been a lifelong fan of professional wrestling and has attended local live events in Tayside, Scotland for well over 15 years. And actually, saying that, and the reason why I say that is because actually what I'm going to do is to go through each of these 34 rules, give my own personal opinion on them, and having gone through them, I realised that some of these rules also actually applies to fans like myself who attend these events. I'll also quickly say that because these are really aimed mostly at those involved in the business, a few of my interpretations of exactly his meanings in terms of some of these rules might be slightly off, but people, of course, can make up their own minds and go through these rules and have their own opinion in regards to either how that applies to them or what exactly the interpretation might be for them actually. We might as well kick it off obviously at number one. It does state in the original post that this is a free wrestling professionalism checklist, no scolding or judgment, and these are in no particular order. So, but obviously we will go through them as I said from number 1 to number 34. Let's begin with number one then, and this is a really good one. Best to show up on time. If you occasionally are late, tell the promoter. This is one that obviously applies whether it's wrestling or a so-called real life job. You try to let someone know. In many cases within independent wrestling, of course, you might be going from one show to another. You might have get a quote unquote so called real life job. You may, and I mean, we've all had it, of course, where you can't always get away or finish exactly on time. And if you're going from your job to the show, then obviously it's best, and you're going to be late, it's best to make sure that the promoter or at least someone knows that you are definitely on your way. That way, the promoter and those involved are not standing around wondering whether you're ever going to appear. It does say if you occasionally are late, as long as you don't take the mickey or it's a regular thing for you. Most promoters, especially if you're a wrestler, they'll be very accommodating and understanding. If you're normally trustworthy and reliable, that hopefully would be the attitude that they have. And of course, that includes as well, maybe you're supposed to be on the first match of the night or the second match of the night, but you're going to be slightly later. Um, then, if possible, maybe the promoter, if it's possible, of course, maybe the promoter can slightly rearrange the card so that you have time to get there and get ready for your match. Number two and number three go together. If a woman wrestler is nice to you, she's probably just being a nice person. She most likely doesn't want to be your girlfriend, even for a night. Number three, keep your hands to yourself. But all the comment I will make in this first part is obviously with all of the stuff that's been spoken about within professional wrestling for the last few years, those certainly apply. For the second part, I will say this applies not only to fans in that regard, but also I will highlight it doesn't. There shouldn't, hopefully, especially in the UK where most shows are family orientated shows, there should hopefully be no need or no instances where wrestlers and fans have any kind of physical confrontation. This certainly should not be the case. The majority of certainly UK independent shows are aimed at families. There hopefully should be really no need, even if it's a heel wrestler, bad guy, bad person, bad character doing, like in terms of being a villain, doing their job, riling up the crowd. There should hopefully be no need for any physicality on the show. Or at least not on the show, really, but at the event. Anyway, I should say, really, at the event. There should be no need for any fans to put their hands on wrestlers or wrestlers to put their hands on the fans. Certainly, especially nowadays. Number four, serve your customers in brackets fans, promoters exceptionally well. For wrestlers, I will simply say you just try to do like you would do a normal job. Turn up, try and give the best performance that you can. Try and do the job that you're given to the best of your ability. For promoters, I will simply say as well on this, you obviously try to give the fans or the people attending these events the best overall experience that you possibly can. Not just the matches, but the overall experience of attending the show. Things even simple like opening the doors on time, creating a fun atmosphere and stuff like that, if you can. Because obviously, the more that fans like myself enjoy not just the wrestling but the overall experience of attending your show, then the more we are likely to lay our money down for tickets to the next or another one, depending on where you're running, when you're running, their availability and all that. But obviously, the more the fans enjoy themselves, the more likely they are to return at some point, even if it's not the next show. Number five, don't bring or participate in any drama. I could go down a rabbit hole with this one, but I'm not. I would just certainly hope, and I know there are some occasions, especially with independent wrestling, where there can be those kind of relationships outside, or in terms of being family or whatever, especially if you're in a local area. Hopefully, that kind of thing is kept to a minimum. Number six, don't lose the building. This is absolutely one that is repeated on a couple of different rules. For this, I will say for wrestlers, if a promoter or a venue gives you advice or doesn't want, like, for example, if the venue doesn't want you wrestling or fighting all over the building and they simply want the action to remain at ringside, then that's something you've really got to try and do that. Different venues will have different rules or preferences of maybe areas you can't go into or fans can't go into. I've had that before as well, where there's certain areas where not like exits or corridors or entrance ways or something that normally had been open, but then suddenly for whatever reason the venue changes their mind, or there's been something happen with maybe even some other event, and they decide, right, you're only coming in and out of this area and that's it. Some venues can be a little bit looking over your shoulder, honestly, at times, but if that's what the case is, you just have to try and work it the best way you can. For promoters, I will say, obviously, again, I'm saying that word a lot, but pay the venue as and when required. If you hire out for a certain amount, pay them the certain amount and pay them on time. Also, try to build up relationships if you can with the venue, the owners or the building staff, what have you. Try and build up that relationship. Because you honestly, well, two things really I will keep it down to. Number one, it might end up or is a really good venue for the promotion to run, whether it's a really good atmosphere and everybody always enjoys the shows there, or whether it works financially for you, whatever the reason, it might be a really good venue for the promotion. In that case, you don't want to lose it. Number two, and this is a bit of an extreme example, maybe a rare example, but who knows? Maybe, especially again if this is your local promotion in your local area, who knows? It might actually one point get you out of a little bit of a difficult situation. This is a rare example again that happened a couple of years ago to the local wrestling promotion here in Tayside called Fair City Wrestling. They were supposed to be putting on their show at one venue. For various different reasons, it wasn't going to happen. Luckily, they had a great relationship with the venue that actually, as I record this, I've just been this past weekend to another show there, the Queen's Hotel here in Dundee. They had a great relationship with it, have a great relationship with that venue and with the staff there, and so they were able to change the show to happen there. Might not happen all the time, might be a very rare um, occurrence, but let's consider it whether it's one of your bigger shows or you've got a special guest brought in or whatever. It's always good to build up those relationships because you might end up building a circuit of good venues in your local area, which is obviously what you want to do. Or again, it might save your rear end a little bit for a show or two that you might otherwise have to cancel and refund money and etc. So certainly, buildings are extremely important, obviously, to running an independent promotion or any wrestling promotion. Number seven, don't do anything without asking first until you're trusted enough to ask. Um, like I said, even with about wrestlers, keeping to what the rules or regulations, kind of maybe the venue wants, maybe a promoter has the same. And sometimes, if you're more trusted than a veteran status, or you're more trusted than others, maybe you can do things that are slightly not quite what the promoter would approve. I'd also say this in things like breakdown and setup, which I'll talk about later. Make sure you know how to do things like that safely. Don't just jump in and think, oh, I'll just jump in and set up the ring, or I'll just jump in and set up the entranceway. If you don't have that a proper idea of how to do those kind of things, because obviously that can end up being a bit dangerous. You might get hurt and stuff like that. Number eight, don't be mad about losing. Just lose the best way you can. Obviously, in an ideal world, if you can put on really good performances, really good matches with whoever you're wrestling or whoever you're working with, then hopefully those losses will come back to you later on in wins. Especially if you can prove your skill, your talent, and really your worth in terms of the promotion. Uh, Hopefully down the line it will come around back to you. Number nine, bring an oversized towel to change under. They're $8 at Walmart. For this one, I will say more towards actually getting changed. Just respect how people want to. Some are more confident and okay getting changed in front of others than maybe other people are. Or if some people want to just simply go to a toilet cubicle and get changed there, then that's fine. Really, it's up to the wrestlers individually. Hopefully, honestly, in an independent promotion, or if you're working with a few people, especially maybe if they're newer, maybe you can try and encourage people to make sure that they're ready as and when required. Again, maybe some promotions have different rules about when people should get changed into their wrestling gear and stuff like that. That's up to each individual promoter and promotion to make those kind of decisions. But certainly, hopefully people have the space, especially the women wrestlers as well. They have a good space to get changed into. I know different venues have different facilities and different spaces, but hopefully that's something as well that promoters will organise. That like the female wrestlers will have some decent safe space to uh, get changed into and out of their gear as and when required. Number 10, be a gentleman. Women appreciate that more than your witty sports bar banter. So, kind of a bit self explanatory there. Number 11, everyone leaves the building safely. Again, two parts to this I will keep to. Number one, I hope that everyone is safe as much as possible with each other during the show. You obviously want to be, as you know, you want someone to be as careful with you as you would be with hopefully would be anyway with them. You want to take care of each other. You all want to walk out of there in one piece. I will also again talking about breakdown, which is taking everything apart and dismantling everything after the show. I'll say this: I personally, and I know some venues again will look over your shoulders or we want you out by a certain time. Again, different buildings, different places, different rules or different attitudes. Some might be very, very good. Some might be just. I'm talking very, very, very general here. All the different stories I've heard over the years, not just local, not locally, really, just not just locally at times, but different podcasts and wrestling shows and stuff like that. What I will say about that is, I personally would prefer that if there is dismantling and breakdown and clearing the venue, I would personally prefer it to take a few extra minutes to be done and to be done considerately and safely rather than it be really rushed to try and get out of there and heighten the risk of incident and injury. Certainly, I would personally, that's hopefully that's everybody's or most people's preference, that if it takes an extra few minutes for everything to be dismantled safely and properly, it's better that it's done those extra few minutes and done safely and properly than everybody trying to rush in and do it, and then maybe somebody gets hurt with a broken toe with a ring post or something like that, or something happens where, or somebody's trying to carry something out of the building and somebody's not looking and they get hit with whatever it is or ran into or whatever. Hopefully, um, if it's a few extra minutes are needed for everything to be done safely, then that's certainly what should happen. Number 12, the locker room is spotless before we leave. Not because William Regal does it, although that's a great reason, but because we don't want to lose the building. Again, that losing the building, obviously, venue is very important. It's been a couple of years since I have really been at any venue at the point where they've been clearing out. It was a couple of years ago in Tayport, just simply because of the timing of the local buses back to Dundee. Tayport is just really across the water from Dundee, just the timings of the buses there. And their local guys are really good, but certainly I would say it just doesn't apply to locker rooms. It also applies to the venue or the hall that you're in. Again, hopefully any decent promotion will leave that venue as neat and tidy as they found it. I would also say this applies to fans as well. Especially these days, a lot of the venues will have bins provided, or and I know I've had people take the mickey about when I used to bring carrier bags and stuff like that with me. But honestly, if there are bins or stuff provided, fans either during interval, maybe during the interval, you can pick up and dispose of any rubbish that you've got so far, and then at the end of the show, then you can get rid of the rest. I know that a lot of the audiences in the UK are families who may have obviously young kids. Maybe sometimes, maybe the parents have seen a poster or a social media post promoting the event and think, oh, the kids like to watch wrestling on TV, so we'll take them. And accidents and spillages happen, I understand that as well. But for the majority of fans, I don't see any issue with with not being able to pick up your rubbish and disposing of it properly. Number 12 and number 13 go together, so I'll read these out. Uh, Number 12, the locker room is spot. No, I've done that. Number 13, number 14, even. Number 13 and 14 go together, it is. Sincerely say hello and meet everyone at the event working behind the scenes. Almost every promoter's wife's biggest pet peeve is that they get ignored. Be very aware of this. Number 14, shake hands and all that. Don't interrupt conversations to win an invisible handshake collecting contest. Again, majority of wrestlers and people involved in the show will arrive well before the show, or certainly before the doors open. And again, it's just a bit of a professionalism thing. You go up and you say hi to everyone, especially anybody again that you're working with or you're interacting. You interact with. And obviously, some people might be busy, might be, if you're maybe you're arriving later, maybe you can come from another show, or you've got a distance to travel, maybe you're coming in a bit later than maybe the ring and everything's set up already, and maybe people are in the ring going through bits and pieces for their matches or whatever they're doing. Then it's just really, again, a bit of a professional thing to just go in and shake hands with everybody. It's a wrestling tradition for people to go in and shake hands with everybody as you arrive. You go in, you shake hands with with people. Again, it's just like any job, and I'm not expecting absolutely everyone to be the absolute best of best friends. It's like again, like every other job, you'll get people who don't get on for whatever reason, but again, it's just a professional thing that you do. You shake hands and you say hi to everyone, especially again if it's again like the promoter's wife or someone's family who's maybe involved or part owner maybe or whatever it is. You know, you just say hi to everyone. Number 15, I think, is a really really good one. G-rated unless told to be R-rated, then PG-13. These are film classifications from America. They're age classifications. Generally in the UK, as I said, most shows are family shows. They're aimed at you could take anybody from the grandkids to the great grandparents. So I hope that majority of the times it's not an issue. There are obviously promotions who will do like over 16 age shows or maybe over 18 shows, depending maybe even sometimes just due to the venue, or maybe some more of a kind of an adult kind of atmosphere for even whether it be a permanent thing for the promotion, or maybe it's just they put on like locally another promotion used to do that I used to go to that I no longer wish to, but there was a few times where they put on shows where it was for over 18, especially because it was in a nightclub venue. I think it's up to both fans and wrestlers and those involved in the shows to obviously know what type of show slash venue that they're at and adjust their behaviour accordingly. Again, in terms of the building and the building staff and stuff, if you put yourself in their place, if you hire out a venue to a pro wrestling company or any event really, but let obviously keep it pro wrestling. You hire your hall out to a pro wrestling show, and you think, oh, okay, it's pro wrestling, so it's going to be a little bit combat sports stuff. Obviously, it's pro wrestling, but then wrestlers and fans and stuff like that, which you thought it was going to be an adult show, you think it was going to be a family show, and they're all coming out cussing and swearing and stuff like that. You're not going to be very impressed. So I think it's definitely up to those involved to adjust their behaviour to suit the show that they're on. Because obviously, especially if the venue thinks it's a family show, and then wrestlers come out shouting and swearing and making rude hand gestures, they're not likely to be impressed. And again, depending on the venue, and I know I'm using a few extreme examples here, but maybe the venue doesn't want to hire out the hall or the venue again to another pro wrestling show, which could maybe damage local promotions or even just that company. So it's definitely up to each individual, including fans, to make sure you know that you're a family show, so you don't cuss and swear. But if it's an over 18 show, depending on maybe depending on the promotion, because each one has different rules and different kind of preferences. If they're okay with that, then you can maybe swear and cuss and make rude hand gestures and stuff at an over 18 show. But definitely, that's a good one. Again, not much of a problem in the UK, but certainly something that I think people in the industry should be aware of. Number 16, have matches that support the whole show. Again, that's more of a wrestler speak one than I can really talk to. Although again, I will reiterate is hopefully people will turn up and try and put on the best performance that you can, whatever your role in the show is. Number 17, no exceptions. You hurt them, you take them to the hospital and stay with them in the emergency room. In the UK, obviously, that would mean the accident and emergency department, which is the area, the department that you would, if you hurt yourself, if it wasn't bad enough to warrant an ambulance being called, but you still wanted to go to hospital to get treated, then that's obviously the department that you would go to. Uh, I would say that's definitely just a responsible promoter thing to do. Obviously, again, everyone wants to be as safe as possible, but unfortunately, accidents, injuries do sadly happen. If there is, I mean, because actually, well, kind of go before I go into that bit, there has been a bit of a movement in the UK for, especially some councils, and again, particularly in Scotland as well, for there to be actual kind of almost proper kind of medical coverage at shows, whether it be like a paramedic, um, an ambulance person, whoever it is. There's been that movement towards having at least one or two individuals at pro wrestling shows lately. Now, obviously, if someone was get hurt enough, and if that person doing the medical coverage, obviously trained and with literally a medical bag and stuff like that, if they believe that person needs it, then obviously they will request an ambulance to be called. If it's something, especially though, which is kind of more likely that, let's say, someone takes a knock during a match and it's not obviously bad enough to, or an injury, to pick up an injury or a knock during the match, and it's not bad enough to immediately request an ambulance, is not that kind of thing, but however, the person thinks maybe after their match that actually maybe I think I need to go up to the hospital and at least get checked out, then certainly any responsible promotion should make sure, or at least a group of wrestlers backstage or somebody should take responsibility and make sure that someone goes with them. So even if they go up there, let's say they hurt their leg, they take a knock to the leg, even if they go up there in the hospital say it's okay, it's just a bad knock, it'll be bruised for a while, it'll feel painful for a few days or a couple of weeks, but you can go home, then at least someone is there to make sure that they can actually get home. So definitely a good thing for any responsible promotion. If someone does get hurt, then if uh, then somebody should at least go with them, whether it be through an ambulance or just being taken up to the hospital to get a knock or whatever checked out. Someone should certainly remain with them and make sure that they're okay. Number 18, you can't always be there for setup, but help with breakdown if possible. You'll be pumped up after the show and it will go fast. Again, this is all determined. I'm not trying to make like excuses or anything for people, but this also depends on really what you're doing. For again, example, the local promotion Fair City Wrestling, they have what they call the backstage pass. This allows a fan to have two photographs taken with talent. One during the interval of the show, where you get your picture taken with a few individuals who have been involved in the first half. That happens in the ring. After the main event, normally on the back wall somewhere so that allows the promotion to start trying to tidy up the chairs and stuff like that. There's another opportunity where you, as a fan, can get your picture taken with a couple of individuals who have been involved. This time, obviously, in the second half of the show. That means if you're doing something like that, then certainly you can't immediately step in and help with the breakdown. Hopefully, maybe if you can be there earlier, maybe then that means you can try and be there to help with the setup. Again, depends on the promotion. Maybe they got particular people for different jobs, whatever. But certainly, it's something that just overall to try some, you should try and chip in if you can, if possible. And again, it says you'll be pumped up after the show and it will go fast. And again, I will reiterate that if it takes a few extra minutes to do it carefully and safely, I rather personally would prefer that than everybody jump in, try to do it very, very quickly to get the heck out of there and to get to McDonald's or any other fast food place, which is tradition locally after a show for a few people to go to McDonald's or again wherever it is available. I'd rather it be done properly and safely. Number 19, bring merch and sell it. Ask the promoter if it's okay to sell it. It's a courtesy and they'll always say yes. Obviously, that last part I can't always guarantee myself personally that they'll always say yes. What I can say again, I'm just using local promotion as an example for many of these, and it's up to them, any wrestler, to approach them and ask them and discuss with them and whatever arrangements and stuff go on with that kind of thing is none of my business, none of my area of concern. But talking generally, as a fan who has visited the merchandise table, then certainly majority of the time locally, especially in Fair City Wrestling FCW, if you visit the merchandise table, um, at some point during the show, there's often at least half an hour between the doors opening and the show beginning to allow everyone to come in, get seated, get themselves sorted and settled, visit, like in the Queen's Hotel, there's a bar area to get a drink or to visit the merchandise table. Generally, if you go up to that table, then you will see various different merchandise available from individuals who are on the show. So definitely, it's a very common thing to see. So again, it's up to each wrestler if you do sell merch, whether it be T-shirts, sunglasses, badges, pictures, whatever it is. Obviously, it's up to you to arrange it with the promoter. And again, different promotions will have it different ways, I'm sure, of working so they can keep a track of who sells what. But definitely, and again, any other arrangements and stuff between the promoter and the wrestler. But generally, if you're a fan, you can absolutely go up, and I would recommend going up to the merchandise table at an event and seeing what kind of merchandise is available. And again, majority of the times, 99.9% of the times, you will see, uh, again, t-shirts, sunglasses, badges, whatever it is, from individuals involved in the show that you're at. Number 20, no matching gear if possible. Again, some of these interpretations from myself are maybe a little bit off. For me, this really means try to get yourself a unique uh, look, one that is identifiable, one that somebody uh, they lay it out in front of a fan eventually, whether they're a new fan. Let's say that it's a fan like myself who've been going for years. You can lay out an outfit in front of somebody and you know whose wrestling gear that is. Because I'm interpreting this as, obviously, apart from tag teams and factions who may end up wearing very similar or the same gear, think Road Warriors or even the Bushwhackers, Demolition, things like that. That is understandable because you're presenting yourself as a unit. But you obviously do not want to have a load of people on the show that look like they have bought, and I don't want to be rude here, but you don't want a bunch of people on the show that are all looking like they've bought generic pro wrestler outfit A from generic pro wrestler outfitters dot whatever. You don't want everyone in the same looking singlet or trunks and gear. Um, you know, you want everyone, obviously, especially with the characters and personas and stuff like that, you want people to be identifiable. You want fans to know who they are, because quite honestly, and again, I'm talking from a fan's perspective. It's although the ring announcers do great jobs of announcing and introducing individuals. So this is again, this is Randy, this is Ian, this is Jay, this is Eddie, this is Patrick, this is who this is Brody, this is Penelope, this is whoever. Okay, that's fine, but you want, and I know it's difficult. I'm not saying that if you're a brand new fan, which again, some of the audience is again families whose kids like watching the wrestling and they've seen somehow that the show is on and they buy tickets, but you want some try to have not even only emotional investment in the wrestlers, but that's obviously difficult to do as well if you can't quite, again, if you're new to going to shows or a promotion, then it's very easy to not be exactly sure who you're seeing after a while. Even though matches tend to be like 10, 15, 20 odd minutes, you want to be able to identify as a fan who you're watching. So again, if you got right Randy coming in with the multicolored tights and the beard and the sunglasses and the big macho man kind of cape kind of thing, or you've got again, I could pick a number of local people, but maybe, I don't know, you come in with, say, Patrick, wherever, coming in with the red and white um, outfit that he's got on, and you know, you want to be able to try and tell these people apart, because obviously, again, you want to try and be able to follow the action. So, if everyone is every match or many people on the show are wearing pretty much like the same generic, really singlet things, then it's very difficult to tell who's who and even remember it. Well, is that not Bill wrestling? No, no, Bill was in the previous event. Oh, is that not Andy? Oh no, Andy was in the match before that. You know, it you want obviously for fans to again make that emotional investment in who they're seeing and being able to just basically follow what's happening in the ring. And if they're all looking same generic type gear. And I understand that's a tradition in Japan. It's a great tradition for young lions, as they're called, young wrestlers who, before they develop their character and get to present themselves however they end up, a lot of them do wear like black trunks and black outfit. Um, but you want to hopefully, and I know it's a lot easier to say this than it is to absolutely achieve this. I understand that it's very, very easy for me to sit here and say this, but if you can try and get a look that is unique to you, and again, it's also difficult with the amount of wrestlers in the world nowadays, but if you can get that look that everyone, even just locally, knows that, right, again, like Brandy wears the multicolored tights with a Macho Man cape thing and the t-shirts and again Patrick maybe wears the white or red singlet with the top and the emblem logo on his on his chest, things like that. That's my interpretation of no matching gear if possible. And again, I know it's much easier, so much easier for me to sit here and say, oh, get an identifiable and unique look to yourself. I know that's very, very easy to say, but it is certainly something that, again, um, hopefully, if you can do it, again, it's very, very difficult to do that. But if you can, try and build yourself or start building yourself some kind of identity, so that people do know who you are. Number 21, accept praise and criticism with an open mind. If they're done right, they're coming from the same place. Again, I've seen criticism being negative just for the sake of being negative. Hopefully, anyone whose opinions and feedback that anyone, whether it be promoter, wrestler, whoever it is, anyone whose opinion you value, hopefully they they will give that feedback slash criticism in the want and the hope of you improving. So they are giving you you know criticism a little bit and feedback, but hopefully it is in an effort to try and help you improve your skills. Number 22. If there's a group prayer, I suggest you participate, even if you're not a believer. If not, that's okay. Just remember that it's coming from a good place. Again, locally, they don't tend to do a group prayer thing. Again, I will simply suggest if someone wishes to go off into the corner, whatever religious beliefs they have, and they want to do a quick little prayer before they go out for their match or whatever role again they're on in the show, if they want to do something like that, then that's fine. Hopefully that is respected. Going off the not well, going off the subject slightly again because there isn't a group prayer locally, at least I believe. What I will say, I haven't really been obviously I haven't been a part of any of these kind of things, but in pro wrestling, especially independent pro wrestling, I don't know how it works in WWE. I don't think they I don't think they kind of have the things or AEW, but certainly in independent wrestling, it's very common for the promotion to have a meeting before the show. This is basically kind of a run through meeting so that everyone knows basically what's happening on the show, who's winning, who's losing, if they don't know already, or at least like the run through of like which matches in which order tonight, and any additional information that is required. Again, like I said earlier about the backstage passes, so it's right. The promoter or whoever it is that's holding the meeting can say, right, this is the order, this is the running order, so it's these matches, interval, then these matches, and they can say, right, these individuals, they are involved in uh, the meet and greet in the interval, and these individuals are involved in the meet and greet immediately after the main event. So again, any additional information, which I think for a promoter, that's a really good idea. Obviously, just to make sure everyone knows their job, knows what's happening, and at least again, it's professional wrestling, so maybe not everyone knows absolutely everything. Maybe just to make sure those who are maybe like again maybe there's a storyline thing or something happening so that not everybody needs to know about it, just those involved need to know about it. That can be something that might happen occasionally, but just generally everyone knows typically what they're doing, what's going on, what their jobs are, etc. in a show. What I will say about this is that I think it's a really good idea for these kind of meetings to take place because it's a really good opportunity. And I've overheard one or two of these kind of meetings a little bit. Won't go into that. Just a couple of times helping out with people and just a couple of times being early to uh, an event or something. Sometimes you're gonna kind of overhear. Sometimes a couple of times I've overheard these meetings. Whatever. I really still think it's a good idea just to have these kind of meetings so that everyone gets an opportunity to sit down with each other for 10-15 minutes. I think it's good for the morale, it's good for the camaraderie of the promotion, it's good for everyone just to have those few minutes together to sit down again, even if it's just 10-15 minutes quickly before the doors open, uh, just to have those few minutes where everyone can sit down together, because obviously people might be training at different times, they may not see each other from show to show depending on their schedules. I mean, obviously some wrestlers might be wrestling elsewhere at different weekends, or again might not be training together, depending on the days that they do it or the classes, or whatever they've got going on. They might not. I think just generally it's a good idea to have those 10, 15 odd minutes for everyone to sit down, maybe joke amongst themselves, have a little bit of fun, get a few encouraging words, whatever it is. I personally just think it's a really, really great idea for promotion. Hopefully, with decent management, and because obviously, any kind of meeting with horrible management, that would have a detrimental effect on the promotion. But hopefully, if it's decent management, they can sit everyone down, and again, they can all have a good few minutes of laughing and joking and comments and supporting each other and encouraging each other before the show. Number 23, leave the gossip or expert opinions for the car ride. I would hope that if anything is necessary to do it, then hopefully in any car ride home, if let's say something's happened during the show that didn't go off quite right, or something happened like somebody got hit in the wrong place, or just something mucked up, hopefully people on the car ride home can let off steam and get their anger out a little bit, even if it's like you hurt me in a sensitive area or whatever it is. That could obviously be quite painful, I'm sure. But if it's something that's gone wrong or some kind of irritation that someone has, hopefully on the car ride home they can vent, they can let off steam, and if they do need to talk to those involved or those related to the uh, um, whatever the thing is, then hopefully they can do it later on with a calmer, cooler head, so they can. Again, I'm not expecting everyone to be the best pals, but when it comes to things like obviously being in the matches, um, then hopefully again people will work together. And again, something can be an accident. It could be maybe a veteran. Again, maybe they get caught in the wrong place because someone's young. Maybe they're get too excited or they hit themselves each the other opponent in a bit of a in the wrong area or whatever, then hopefully if you allow yourself to vent and let off steam in the car ride home, then you can approach the situation and any conversations that may need to be had with a calmer, cooler head. You can talk about it later on with whoever is needed to, if necessary, and then you can come to some kind of agreement or apology or whatever it is, and you can move on from that. Number 24 and number 25 also go together. Young ones, remember the old guys were once you, so give them some grace. Number 25 is old ones. The young guys will always be dummies, just like we were. They'll grow out of it, just like we did. There's always going to be different arguments about styles and moves, etc., going on in wrestling between generations. It's just a part of it. Number 26, best to not drink until after the show. I wouldn't suggest drugs of any kind. Just because we accept it just doesn't mean the building owner does, and we don't want to lose the building. Again, you don't want to create a bad impression with the venue. And obviously, again, in terms of again, and I know I'm saying this yet again, but you obviously want everyone to be clear-headed. You want people to be in a good, clear-headed space in terms of wrestling with each other. You want everyone to be in a place, in a physical place where they are going to look after each other, and obviously being under the influence that if somebody ends up in that place and they need help, hopefully any responsible promotion can try and give them as much help as they can. I've never seen that locally, but you know obviously, again, any responsible promoter will try to make sure that if they have any suspicions, or again, if someone's turned up in a bad way or under the influence, hopefully, they won't be allowed to take part in the show. Again, responsible thing to do. I would also say this applies to fans because obviously, if you turn up inebriated or again, you continue to drink or you have too much to drink and you're either come inebriated or um, have disruptive behaviour, then obviously you might either be denied entry to the show, which is, or asked to leave the show, which both I feel is understandable. Um, and so that would be a bit of a waste of your ticket money. So you don't want that. You want to be able to, again, especially if some venues, if there is a bar or place you can get a drink, then that's fine. And I'm a non-drinker, but I'm fairly fine if if there is a venue where drink is available, then absolutely, you can get a drink or two, enjoy yourself during the show. Obviously, again, it's up to each person to be responsible for themselves. Number 27, thank every non wrestler who helps out. Maybe they'll come back. Generally, to be involved in any of the setup or anything to do with the promotion, you really have to be. Well, to be involved in the show, you really have to be involved in the promotion nowadays. A lot of insurance reasons, but I would certainly say, hopefully, people make everyone's efforts, or make sure that their efforts are appreciated and valued, and make sure everyone knows that they are. Number 28, special needs fans always come first. Again, any responsible promotion, any fans with any additional needs, whether that even be things like wheelchairs or whatever it is, and hopefully a promoter, if the venue can do it, again, with different local shows, different venues will be different. I know there's a lot of accessibility rules, but certainly any, again, decent, responsible promoter will try their very best to accommodate any fans or anyone with additional needs. Number 29, work light but well. Again, kind of wrestler speak, but all I'll say there is if it looks really horrible, then honestly it takes us fans out of our suspension of disbelief. If it's like obvious that the guys are like standing 2 or 3 feet apart, unless it's supposed to be that kind of like that way in comedy match kind of thing, um, if they're unless if it's supposed to be like a serious match and not comedy, if like the guys are like 2 or 3 feet apart and it's really obvious that they're nowhere near each other and they're acting like they're being hit, again, if it really looks horrible, then it does take us fans, I hate to say this, but it does take us fans right out of it, which can again, um not ruin, but it won't certainly won't help the fans overall experience. Number 30, don't grab the mic unless you clear it with those in charge. Again, this might come down to your status within the promotion or wrestling. You might be trusted more than others to make to carry a live microphone. Even then, it might be some of the promoters might not be exactly sure what you're going to say. All I'll say about this one is don't try and just go off and make into business for yourself in terms of trying to make matches or things for don't try like especially matches, really, let's just keep it matches. Don't try and start throwing around matches like that either for whatever reason the promoter can or won't um make. Don't try and start making matches or promising matches, even actually on social media. You know, don't try and go and throwing around matches and stuff like that that the promotion is not going to be able to have. Uh, Now, I don't mean to say that with disrespect, but what I mean by that is that, and again, you can tease a match. You might know that maybe the person that you've been facing or that has been involved in the match that you maybe like, and maybe it's a multi-person match. Maybe again, maybe you're doing this. Maybe it's a storyline and you're teasing a big match between you and the other person for maybe eventually down the line when they're available because maybe they're busy, maybe there are lots of different promotions on the dates that promotion that you're currently at is running. Maybe you're running shows on particular dates, but that wrestler is elsewhere. Then you can definitely try and tease like I want you in a match somewhere down the line. What I am trying to say is it looks really awful for a promotion if matches are continuously made or promised at a show or on social media and those matches don't end up happening. Especially with social media nowadays and the way that some fans are about going on social media, it doesn't create the greatest impression, honestly, of that promotion. If you are continually seeing matches being put out there and them not happening. Again, there could be storyline reasons, and maybe they want to keep the match for the big event of the year. Whatever, that is kind of thing is absolutely fine. But I'm talking more general of right, me and you next month or this. Again, even on social media, because and I'm not seeing it really locally. It's just something that has happened occasionally. So again, hopefully, those people, a majority of these people will not. Again, it's a bit of an extreme example, but obviously, if you are, and again, cards can change. People can become available, can become injured. That even happened very, very recently this past weekend. As I record this, there was a change to the women's tag team match because sadly one of the women got injured, but she was replaced prior to the show and a few days before the show. But genuinely, if you start someone starts making matches and they never happen, again it looks bad for promotion. Number 31, please don't drop or throw the mic ever. Again, be respectful for the promotion's equipment unless absolutely arranged. A lot of the microphones and speakers and sound systems and cameras and stuff like that, they cost a lot of money. So that goes again. Any loss of that kind of equipment again is also going to be detrimental to the promotion. Number 32, don't be a mark for yourself or the belt, be a mark for sold out shows and selling merch. Again, hopefully, if it's a decent promotion and people are really contributing and the best way that they can, hopefully that again promotions will get the fans' interest. And again, if you have a really good show, then again fans will be willing to buy tickets for the next one. This kind of goes into number 33 as well. The boys get in for free, so don't wrestle for them. Or if you do wrestle for them, make them feel like kids again. Because at the end of the day, we are all wrestling fans. Whether it be wrestlers, ring crew, referee, ring announcer, whoever's involved in the show in any capacity or attending the show, we're all wrestling fans. We all want to enjoy the show. And I'm not saying that I don't mind the odd in joke, the odd bit of piece of, I bet you can't make this person do that during a match, or, this person do that whatever during the segment, or whatever it is, those kind of little in jokes and things like that. Personally, I don't mind too much as long as it's not completely and utterly blatant, and it's not like I mean, I'm sure there are probably things that have gone over my head or past me over the years where it was a little bit of I bet you can't get this to do that, or we would all love to see this person try this kind of move that maybe they don't normally do, and whatever. I'm sure there's been many occasions like that, and I don't want to be rude to the wrestlers who, because I have absolute the most respect for anyone who laces up their boots and gets in the ring and wrestles or referees or whatever. So I kind of, again, it's going to kind of sound a little bit rude, which I don't mean it to. But the truth is, for a large part of it, you really have to try to wrestle to entertain the fans. Because, and again, I'm not trying to go, we're fans, we're the VIPs, we're, numero uno, we're number one, and stuff like that. Um, but, and again, hopefully those watching, whether it's monitors or whatever it is backstage, or however people, if there's an area that somebody can sit and watch the show behind the curtain, that's great. I'm sure. Again, I don't want to make this sound rude, but you try to have to wrestle and entertain the fans, because again, I'm not saying that VIP fans we're the number ones and we should be we're the kings and queens or whatever it is of wrestling and da da da. But generally, the fans are the ones um, who are buying the tickets. You know, they are the ones that are financing the promotion largely. They're the ones who you want. Obviously, you want to have. In fact, who was it that said that? I can't remember. Yeah, it was Ian, one of the local wrestlers, said it this past weekend. Well, I thought actually of a couple other things as well, actually. But one of the points that he said about what something that a promoter or promotion is scared of is a so-called empty house, which means no fans turning up. And obviously, again, you want to try and entertain the fans so they do turn up at the next show, they do buy their tickets and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to say, and other things, by the way, I can't remember what he said. Um, oh yeah, he said, well, he did say, actually, to give him credit, he's always been fantastic at his promos. One of the best. Definitely. The videos that he's done over the years is fantastic. Not blowing smoke up his rear end, because there's a lot of the great guys at Fair City Wrestling put on a great show this past weekend. But he said there's a couple of things that promoters fear: him with a live microphone and an empty house. I could also think of at least a couple of other things, including wrestling weddings. They tend to not go very well, but uh, certainly you again you kind of try and got to overall try and entertain the fans. Again, not trying to take anything away from the wrestlers, uh, those involved in the show, any ring crew or anybody involved in the promotion. But again, you and again, hopefully, if it's a really good, entertaining show, then if you're entertaining the audience, those who have paid their ticket money, then hopefully you're also entertaining those in the back, those ring crew, and all those involved at the show. Hopefully, everyone is enjoying themselves. So again, I don't want to be rude to the wrestlers, because again, they're the ones that get in the ring and they lace up their boots, they put in their effort, they put on the show. So I don't want to be. I don't mean for it to sound disrespectful, but certainly you want to try and entertain the fans as well. At least you want to entertain everyone. Let's just keep it that. You want to entertain everyone so everyone enjoys themselves. And as number 34 says, they all have fun and be safe. So everyone can, at the end of the show, everyone can think of, right. Oh well, that was can walk away, go on their way home and think, wow, that was a really good show, really enjoyed myself, can't wait for next time, can't wait for the next show. Those are good rules. I think these are, it's been a bit longer than I thought in this video, but certainly these are really good professionalism rules. Generally, I think it is really good idea. Uh, um, Again, just to, obviously you treat it, just like you would any other job, whatever your role in professional wrestling, whether it be an independent show, whether it be WWE, whatever it is, but certainly independent, you know, wrestling, you want to turn up, put on the best effort you can, and really try to have a good time. Again, entertain it, be safe, and who knows? Honestly, I will say this before I wrap this up, hopefully quite quickly anyway, as if I can even speak now. Who knows what this may lead to? Because if you're professional, if you put in the serious effort and try and be a good person, who knows what the outcome can be? We've seen it in Scotland. We've got a couple of WWE superstars now, and also a few local people I know, and I've known a few over the years, have travelled across Europe. There was one that recently went to China and might be going to Mexico and the United States. May perhaps later in the year that's looking like it's going to happen. So those kind of things, those kind of reputations, they definitely get around. So who knows, if you try and be that, you try and be a positive contribution to professional wrestling, who knows what opportunities will end up opening in front of you to get to travel the world and wrestle for various different promotions and stuff like that. Depends obviously on your intentions, whether you want to make it a permanent full-time career or whether you want to be, just a UK independent wrestling with a wrestler with a real life job. However, whatever your intentions are, following these kind of rules, I firmly believe still now in 2026 can still pay off and can still lead you to opportunities and again doors of these kind of opportunities being opened that you might very well be wanting or really willing to take advantage of. So again, just like any other job, sometimes professionalism is key.